Well, good morning and welcome to your early June edition of Tampa Home Talk. And I'm your host, Katrina Madewell, joined by Mr. Leo Kane.
Yeah, it's the 2nd of June and I'm freezing.
Oh, my goodness.
From Barrel Engineering and Inspection.
And look who else decided to show up today.
There we go.
I'm adjusting you.
There you go. Adam Talley with Talley Insurance back after a couple of weeks. He's out of town.
I know. You're out playing, having fun, doing all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then Mr. Mark Zellis.
You slid me in today, huh?
Welcome.
Thank you, Katrina.
So Mr. Mark is actually with Beasley Media, and he is visiting our remote Tampa Home Talk studio.
I call it a field trip.
Yeah, sort of. What do you think about it? We're a little cozy in here, aren't we?
This means a lot when you're the host of a show and you actually have a studio in your office. I don't know anybody that does that.
That's what I'm told, but I don't know. I don't live in your world, so. But you know, it's good for me because it would be, gosh, Pat, you know, I mean, did they ever tell you the story, Mark, about my first day ever at Beasley, which was probably 8 years ago?
Would you please refresh my memory?
Okay, let's just have fun with this, and then we'll get to the numbers, the real estate numbers. My first day ever at Beasley, Charlie Oakes was the station manager, and I had moved from a smaller station. I was at Clear Channel before that. And I had never done morning radio. It was always afternoon. Always did afternoon radio. So it's my first time ever going to a morning radio spot. I was late my first day at Beasley. I was late for a live show. And I thought Charlie was going to freak out, but he didn't. He was just hanging out with my guest. And my guest had actually been on air with me before at the other station. So he came on in, and I thought, oh, boy. When I got off air, Charlie goes, "Can I talk to you?" I thought, oh, man, here it's coming.
Reprimanded.
I'm late my first day.
Busted.
It's going to be like, I don't know if this is going to work out, right? That's what I was expecting. Charlie goes, "You know, your show was really great. Are you going to go 5 days a week?" And I said, "Not right now, but I'm sure I would need to work on being on time first." So he didn't even say anything to me about it. But I was like, yeah, I need to allocate some more time for morning traffic here in Tampa Bay.
So what's the difference between morning and afternoon radio?
Well, that's a good question for Pat George. What do you think about that?
What's the difference between morning and afternoon?
I think there's a huge difference because you're commuting in the worst part of the traffic versus, like, I was leaving in the middle of the day to get to a live show.
Oh, I thought it was...
It depends on the time of year. Like right now, school's out. Mornings, it's like a vacation.
It's better.
In the afternoons, our afternoon traffic reporter, Kathy, has got her hands full. I looked at everything she did yesterday, and there were accidents galore. So
What do you think? Do you think that's because of the weather or because of patterns? Okay.
Yeah. I think for sure, like, I remember driving to the station when school would start, and it, like Pat said, it would sort of feel like a vacation compared to the regular traffic, because you got to think the teachers are not on the road. They'll also be driving to school. There's a lot of traffic.
The teachers are on the road at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning.
You're not competing with the teachers.
Yeah, the teachers don't have traffic.
Yeah, teachers don't have traffic.
Okay. Well, in Pasco, some of our schools start a little later. All right, let's get to our market data, shall we?
We talk about houses on this show, right?
So one thing, what we do, we have a little fun in between, but one thing worth mentioning at this particular stage in the market is rates are up. So they're up more than they have been in a hot minute, that's for sure.
What rates are we talking
I
about?
don't
Insurance
know.
rates, auto insurance?
All rates.
Every rate.
All rates.
Every
Single rate anywhere is up.
Including CDs, right? Like any of those rates.
There we go.
But mortgage interest rates, one of the most expensive things you could buy in finance, those interest rates are up. So with that being said,
what average?
It really
now?
depends. I mean, it's such a loaded question. Like, so much of it depends on what's your credit score, what's the loan to value ratio, meaning how much you're putting down. Are you self-employed? Like, there's so many factors that go into that. Is it a condo? Is it a single-family home?
Average person, single-family home.
1,750 square feet, $400,000 median price.
Yeah, you're anywhere probably. And, you know, I'm not a
700
lender.
credit score.
I'm not a lender. I'm not licensed. And it's like the stock market. It moves every day. But we're seeing stuff in the 6s, some stuff in the 7s.
Okay.
I mean, it gives you an idea. If you want an exact rate, we can give it to you. Call or text. I'll have Sarah Cricky give it.
813-377-2775. 813-377-2775. Text the word rate, and we'll get you hooked up with Sarah Cricky, who can give you the rates.
The other thing, too, is that, well, the bond, like, depending on what loan program you're getting, that dictates the rate, too.
So, side question, what are you seeing when it's, because I've seen quite a few of these, and I think you had one this week where it was seller financed, what kind of rates are sellers giving buyers?
So that's normally in a seller financed environment, it's going to be a higher rate.
Okay.
It's going to be higher interest rate. I would
different
say
qualifications, right? You're just
Well, you have to think if a seller is financing, it's the same as any other asset class, right? So if they sold that money and they made it liquid, what other asset class could they invest it in? What type of rate would they yield? Right? And the truth is, you can get 5% in a CD, right? It just so happens, Miss Danielle Evans, we got her.
Right.
I just want to give her a big shout out. That was on my list for today.
Yeah,
She's our appraiser sponsor for Tampa Home Talk. And
the newest Tally Insurance client.
yeah, she closed on her house yesterday. So
She was
excited.
excited, yeah, she
And
was
her
excited.
house is right down the street from our studio.
She won't
so
like
we'll
you
see
saying
her
that.
more. We'll see
She
her
likes
more.
she likes to be private on
It's a
that.
gated community.
There
You
you
can't
go.
get
Okay,
in.
there we go.
So, anyway, so proud of her. She works her little tail off to save money, and just really, really, really proud of her. But that particular case was 5%, and so
kind of beat market.
Yeah, beat market.
yeah,
That's lower than market.
We negotiated that deal back in March. Again, we've had a lot of rate hikes since then, but yeah, it was better.
So sometimes
It's
seller
better than
financing
market.
can work out.
It could, yeah.
Okay.
When do you lock something like that down, Katrina?
So in this case, the seller was still living in the home. She was moving out of state to North Carolina. She had the property listed with another broker, didn't sell it. I went and interviewed, and she said, well, maybe I'm just going to rent it. Then she ended up listing it with someone else for rent. They didn't rent it. And so I said, hey, what if I bring you a buyer? And so it wasn't even on market. We sold it off market. She paid us a commission. We negotiated the whole deal. We did have some issues in the 9th hour where the seller was trying to throw in a balloon, and that wasn't part of the deal. And her brother was very involved in it, literally acted like her attorney.
A hot air balloon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
not
I was
that
thinking
kind
the
of
same
balloon.
thing.
more like a 2007
Balanced
shaped
too.
balloon.
Well, it's a little older than that. Really, all the balloons started coming due in the early 90s. When I started in the business, all the balloons from the 80s were coming due in the 90s.
So what is
that
a
was a
balloon
big
to our average listener?
So a balloon is where, like, you have a regular 30-year AM, right? 30-year amortization. So you take your balance, your rate, and then you finance it over 30 years. It gives you your payment. A balloon means, okay, the seller says, I'm going to hold it. I'll give you a 30-year payment, but I'm going to want my money after 5 years or 10 years or 15 years. So it has a balloon, meaning that whole mortgage balloon's due. You have to refinance it, sell it, or pay it off in some way by that day. So, that was a challenge in the early 90s because just it was crazy inflation, and there was a lot of stuff in the banking realm from the 80s. Dave Ramsey talks about that. They called all of his notes, right? So there was the S&L crisis was real.
Do you see a lot of balloon type things anymore in contracts?
For investors, for investor loans, we see balloons.
Right.
For commercial, we'll see balloons. For just seller financing, you may see a balloon.
Okay.
But the important part is it wasn't part of our deal, and they tried to change the terms, and I didn't let them.
Are balloons ever a good thing?
Yeah, they could be. If you listen,
Gotta talk to my money man over here.
Let me-
No, why would a balloon be a good thing?
you're shaking your head no, but let me put this in perspective for you, okay? A seller offers you finance at 5% with let's say it's a 5-year balloon, right? Or a 10-year balloon, whatever it is. 5%, and then they're giving you a fair deal on the home, okay? Or you could go finance, maybe the current rates are mid 6s, almost 7. Which one are you going to take?
Well, you're gambling. You're gambling that the rates are going to decrease between now and when the balloon comes due, and you're also gambling that your credit's going to increase, and you're going to be able to find lenders. It's gambles versus the security of I have a 30-year mortgage on my property now versus I want to see what the future holds. And that's what hurt so many people in 2008 is when those balloons came due and they needed to refinance, they were in way over their head.
Well, you say gamble, I say calculated risk. And this market is completely different than the peak of 06. It just is.
I would agree with that.
I've said it so many times. But I say calculated risk. So in her case, the payment, she was living below her means. We talk about that a lot, right? So if you live below your means and you have a balloon coming, you can plan and prepare for that, right? You can save money and either maybe focus on paying it off at that lower interest rate in that time frame. You could focus on and have a plan to refinance it. All of it's strategic, and anybody can have good credit. You just have to be very conscious of it and purposeful with it. So
I'm glad that you explained that because all I could see is a clown making balloon animals.
Yeah. No, it's the balance comes due on the mortgage. That's what it means. And I'll give you our offer number. We're going to talk about the real estate numbers when we come back. I'll give you all that info quickly right after the break. 813-377-2775. You can call or text our off-air number, 813-377-2775. Call or text with any of your real estate questions. Always happen to help. This is Tampa Home Talk. We'll be right back.
Welcome home, Leo Kane here with Barrel Engineering and Inspection, bringing you my favorite part of, well, actually my favorite part is listings.
All the numbers. And the
But I
listings.
like to talk about
top three part. Possibly.
top three, possibly top five. We'll put it in the top 10.
Yeah, there you go.
Bringing you one of my favorite 10 pieces of every radio show, and that is the numbers for the week, which actually had what we talked about last week, a dip due to Memorial Day.
Not much.
Substantial dip. It's 10%.
Were you looking at solds?
Now I'm looking at new listings. I'm looking at pendings. Everything's down 10%.
Okay.
It's like we lost 1/10 of the week.
I think we did.
Well, then does it pick up? Is it going to start picking up because now we're in the summer months? Kids are out of school. It's time to look and move. And
I had 2 listing appointments. I didn't get home till 11 last night. I had 2 in the afternoon. I think did something before that, but it's been busy. I've had several sellers I've met with, and a lot of this time that I spend when we work together is getting them ready for market. So like I have a list, a page long, and that one of them Barrel, Leo, I'm looking at you thinking about Barrel inspections.
Thank you.
But what I was trying to say was if someone's been in their home for 10 years or more, especially,
Needs prep.
I always recommend a pre-listing home inspection, right? Because I'm walking around and they're giving me their little list of deferred maintenance, and that's just what we can see. Right? So if they're in the house 10 years or longer, especially in this market where buyers are squirrely, they're not as abundant as they were a year ago, I'm going to recommend a pre-listing home inspection because once you get that pre-listing home inspection, now you have a punch list that we can look at side by side with our other list and then actually get the home ready for market. What you don't want to happen is a buyer to discover that when you're under contract and now they want to either cancel the contract,
Right.
which means your next one could be less money than that one, or B, you can get a lot of flexibility, right? So like if it's your home, you can fix it yourself if you want to. There's nothing stopping you. You can hire a handyman. There's a lot of things you can do. It's your home. You have the right to fix stuff how you want. When you're under contract for a buyer that's going to be buying that home, you're not touching anything plumbing related, no matter how simple it is, without a plumber. You're not touching anything without a licensed professional. And sometimes they can even ask for a general contractor to do the most simplest of things that a handyman could otherwise knock out. So, and I use myself as an example, right? When I sold my own home, I did a quick little punch list and I'm like, this is everything we got to get ready before I can even show the house to a buyer. Because you don't want buyers to find those
what were things on your punch list when you went to sell your house?
I think I just took it down, but let me think about that. I can't remember. Well, I know like I have kids, right? And kids like wreak havoc
You have a lot of
sometimes.
kids. How many kids do you have?
Too many.
Yeah.
I'm like 3 of
I
them.
think
are like-
one is too many.
Yeah,
You have a dog child and cat children.
Actually, we're just about to get a new foster this weekend.
Oh, lovely.
For the Sunshine Corgi Rescue. We got to go down to Bradenton to meet Cooper tomorrow.
Cooper the Corgi. Okay, I'm excited.
He's very cute. I can show you a picture during the break.
I would love to see a picture.
So going back to your question, I had it's a lot of the prep stuff, right? The show stuff. Like I had a list from my handyman. Like the little thing was broke on the screen door, the arm, you know.
I'll
bring my list.
I could have fixed that for you.
I'm gonna bring my list next week. We'll talk about it.
Ooh, that's a cute dog.
Yeah, he needs a home. Little Cooper, a little high anxiety. He does suffer from seizures. The cost of the medication in combination with the divorce that he's going through right now made it so he can no longer stay with his family.
Oh, no.
So we'll be temporarily taking him in until the Sunshine Corgi Rescue can place Cooper. If you have an interest in
Cooper's
Cooper
cute.
or any other corgi, text the word corgi to 813-377-2775. That's 813-377-2775. In a way to help control the pet population, as Bob Barker used to say, have your pet spayed and neutered and visit a shelter or a rescue organization before getting a puppy from a puppy mill.
And And I will have to say with pets, as that relates to your house, if I could bring that back around to the real estate space.
Let's reel her on back in.
I thought this was a real estate show.
Take care of your.
It's not.
A little bit of everything.
It's based on real estate.
It's a
but
comedy
more-
hour about
Yes.
real estate and life.
We have fun. Like, we do get serious when it's time to get serious, but we have fun too.
Well, every
More
house
like a
is full of
social
crazy
studies
people.
class, really.
And what good is a house without a dog walking around it?
Yes, it is no good.
So this is
Dogs
very,
bring life.
very relevant to real estate.
All right, new listings 658, price increases. This blows my mind. 139, price decreases 581, back on the market 222, sold 900. That's the stuff we got to look at. Still sold 900 and only 658 new listings.
Question for you.
Expired 7s, withdrawn 15, canceled 1.
Are you two of the pendings?
Pending's 804.
Yeah.
I pended everything. I had one listing that I fired the seller.
Okay, so question for you.
Oh,
On
dish.
On these price increases, what do? They put it on the market, it doesn't sell. Like, oh, you know why it's not selling? We need to charge more money.
Let me give you a prime example. The seller I fired, right, because he was just unrealistic. Like, I think there's literally some mental issues there. I can deal with that. I've dealt with it more than once. I have no problem with that. What I can't do is, there's nothing in this house we're stealing, trust me. What I can't deal with is that, right? Like, just the extreme paranoia that
So he thinks like he
Yeah,
doesn't
that-
want people in his house. He doesn't want you to show it, basically.
he doesn't want us to show it. He freaked out about an open house. Like, there were so many things. And it's like, you're better off just moving out of the house if you're that paranoid about it. But,
Yeah.
People that won't take my advice, I guess that's where the disconnect is. And I know him. I sold him the house 20 years ago. He's like,
Has a lot changed in the 20 years?
yes, I didn't even recognize him. But
Does
anyway.
he listen to this show? Does he know
I
you're
don't
talking
know.
about him?
I'm okay with it if he does. We had a mutual parting, but the point is.
No names were mentioned.
Yeah.
We didn't even change the name to protect the innocent.
So the point is, I withdrew the listing. It was only on 4 days. We had multiple offers. I got the house sold. One of the other fights is a 15-year-old roof without a permit, and that's
Oh,
a fight, right?
ow,
So, like, if you're not going to listen to me and I'm trying to save you from yourself, it's going to be a hard road for you. I'm just saying. Like, when I go see a doctor, or any other professional, I want them to be real with me. And sometimes when they come at you with this, I have to answer you according to how our attorneys say. I will look at them and I'll say, look, if I was your wife, what would you tell me to do? That's a different question.
That's a loaded question.
It's a different
It's a
question.
loaded question.
That's what I would do. So when I'm trying to give someone advice and save them from themselves and they won't listen, I got to walk away.
I'm going to do this with
So-
clients in the future.
So
If I
he-
was your husband, what would you do?
He relisted it. So he relisted the property $10,000 higher. Still not planning to change the roof. And so of course, what do? I look up the agent to see who he hired. One house sold in 6 months. It took him over 300 days to get there. One expired and another active listing. That's it. That's the real estate career.
Well, you know what? That person will have a lot of free time on their hands to
Yep.
work on that one. So,
Yep.
maybe that's a good fit.
So anyway, and it needs everything. Like, it needs to be completely
Oh, yeah.
renovated.
20
So-
years? Yeah, 20 years, 15-year-old roof.
Well, he hasn't done anything to it. The
No?
kitchen's the same, 1985. I mean, everything's the same.
Like a non-permitted roof these days, and we talked about it the other day, right? A non-permitted roof, your only option right now is Citizens, and
That's who's insured with.
Yeah.
and the problem is like you can't have there's no guarantee on when you're going to be able to get that insurance document because we have to submit a clean 4-point and everything to them.
Doesn't sound like
and
this
then it
house
has
can
to
have
be
one.
approved.
We
So it
talked
could
about
be like
this
2
house.
weeks for it to be approved.
We talked about this house.
Yeah.
And I call Adam and I'm like, Adam, here's a dealio. What are we looking at? Can we actually get insurance, like a
You
citizen?
could, but I couldn't guarantee you when the documents will be there, so you need to do it as early as possible.
Speaking of insurance, we have Tropical Storm 2. It's going to Cuba. It's about 300 miles west of Tampa right now. Is it stopping things? Is it in the box where you can't write insurance right now?
Oh, God. So I haven't seen anything. That's a really great question. That would be really unfortunate because I'm very busy today. But if it is in the box, if it's near Cuba.
Well, it's heading
close.
from Tampa to Cuba.
You might be working late today, Adam.
Oh, it's going the opposite direction.
the rains-
I'm not even aware of this thing.
Yeah, the rains of yesterday was an offshoot of feeder bands from Tropical 2.
We exist to update Adam on the insurance market so he knows what to write.
Well, no, I mean I haven't seen anything, so I think they're probably looking at it as a non-threat. basically.
I mean, it's a tropical depression. They haven't even given it a name yet.
If it doesn't have a name, then it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It just made a lot of rain happen yesterday.
Then I think we're going to live.
A lot.
Now, if we're going to talk about that with all this rain, now's a good time if you still got a bunch of standing water hanging around and it hasn't rained in a couple hours at your house. You might want to think about flood insurance because this little rain that we had is nothing compared to
What's coming?
What a real flood could be.
correct.
So, talking about the market numbers really quick, just to come to that, and then we're going to have fun the rest of the show. But
Were we
I was
not having fun before?
we're having
I
fun.
mean, like,
I
we're
just want
30
to keep
minutes
it.
into the show.
It
We're
hurt
not
my
having
it hurt my
fun.
feelings a little
We're
bit,
trying to keep it
Katrina.
real estate related, y'all. Come on.
Only
We
because
just
our
talked
boss,
about hurricanes.
Real
our
back
boss
in.
is in the room, of course.
So here's the dealio. So I started thinking about this, and I'm like, some of these reports that I've read were talking about how builders are doing really well because they're selling and producing inventory because it's just there's not enough. We look at the absorption rate; it's dropped a tenth every month. It's dropped.
So we're going back down.
We're going back down. We're close to a 1.5 month supply of homes, and stuff that's priced correctly is selling well right away, and the stuff that's not is sitting. So I pulled up again how many walks. We'll chat about that real quick, and then we're going to talk about zombie house flipping when we come back after the break. Our off-air number, if you want some information on this, any data, any numbers, real-time data, I tell you, I can sell any house. I'm not kidding you. Even the zombie houses, I'm 100% sure I can
Tell
sell
them how
it.
to find you.
813-377-2775. 813-377-2775. And I'll share a story when we come back about the zombie houses. Sound good?
Yeah,
All
it's great. I
This is Tampa
can't
Home
wait.
Talk. We'll be right back. Stick around.
Welcome home. This is Tampa Home Talk. I'm Adam
This is
Talley.
what? Where are we?
We're having fun here today, folks. This is Tampa Home Talk.
Are we really having fun? Because we're about to talk about how money's walking around, and that's never fun.
So, I started thinking about this, right? With this absorption rate slowly going down, yet the prices keep climbing and the interest rates keep climbing, and we know other markets are not experiencing the same thing we are. So I pulled how many walks.
Wow.
What about money talks?
Well, how many walks is
It
an
talks on
IRS?
1010.
Yeah, it sure do, don't it?
How many walks is an IRS data migration site where people file tax returns in real time, and so it shows where money is moving from and to. So wherever they filed their last returns compared to where they just filed them, and so it takes that AGI or adjusted gross income and reports that in the numbers. So when you look at, I pulled Hillsborough County just to give you an idea. In Hillsborough County, oh my gosh, it's so small I can't read
I
it.
can read it. In Hillsborough County, were we talking about where we gained money or where we lost money?
So we talked about this
Overall
before on the
gain,
show,
though.
but look at the gain.
The
How much we've gained. And
Overall gains are just insane. Overall gains from Miami. We're stealing $300 million from Miami. We're stealing over $250 million from Chicago.
Yes.
We've stolen another $250 million from Fort Lauderdale. We're grabbing stuff from Suffolk County, New York. Is that
that's right outside of New York City.
that's Long Island?
Suffolk and what was the other
Doesn't
one?
matter.
I thought New York
Sussex
County.
and Suffolk. Those are the two. Nassau and Suffolk.
Suffolk.
So
the two
from
right
from
there.
Greater New York, we're stealing another $400 million.
Good.
However, we're losing money.
Boo.
Not really.
No, we're losing more money. So if we add all those up, we got about $1 billion were gained from all these different cities. But guess what? We lost $2.7 billion.
No, we didn't.
Not really.
Yes, we did. We lost
Yeah,
it to
but-
Pasco County. You're on the wrong page, Adam. We lost $2.7 billion to Pasco County. So even though we gained $1 billion from all these people, what's happening is all
In
these people
Hillsborough County.
are coming to Hillsborough and saying, "Ooh, Pasco," and then
No.
they're jumping ship to Pasco.
Well,
No,
I think what's
the Hillsborough people are moving out.
See, we
Yeah.
gained. It said gained 5.6 billion, so it's still a
It's
net.
still up.
It's still
That's
a net
right.
5.6
That's right.
billion. It's just, it's the the
So,
percentages of where it came from.
when you look at where people come from, they're all coming from out of state. Chicago,
Yeah.
New York, Miami
Right.
is in state.
I hate to break it to you,
But the other where people are going from, it shows you Hillsborough County. They're just
They're
moving
staying
to all
here.
the neighboring counties. That's still the Tampa Bay area.
well, I think
we have a question from the room.
Why? Why are they moving from Hillsborough to Pasco?
Oh, I can
it's
answer
cheaper.
that.
I can too.
So they move from these cities like Chicago, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, New York to be in a smaller town. And they get to Tampa, and they realize that Pat George is telling them about traffic and weather all the time, 3 times a day, and they're like, well, I still want a smaller town. So then they move to Pasco, Hernando.
There might be some, but I
Polk.
think it's the people that were there that are moving.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
what I
It's,
think.
it's people that are, there were people
yeah.
that are already here are getting pushed out because they're selling to these Miami, Chicago, and New York people. They're selling at a good gain, and they want to pocket some of the money, so they head to the neighboring counties.
Right.
You can get more house in Pasco.
Well,
for
more,
less money.
and people don't want to be as close, right? I've noticed, like, even the guy I fired, I mean, Tampa's too grown up. He wants to go north, like Citrus County. You're going to start to see a boom, I think. And that county is where people are starting to move that way.
Yeah, I have some people that
You can buy new construction up there for under $300,000.
and not small either, like a decent sized house too.
What's that?
It's-
What would that size?
3-4 bedrooms. I mean,
Yeah, quarter lot,
Yeah.
quarter acre.
yeah, the lots are bigger, brand new construction, under $300,000.
Comes with alligators and a pond in your backyard.
Yeah, I have some people that moved up to Homosassa and they love it.
Same area.
They
yeah.
love it.
It's old Florida. Like, really, it's what Florida
Yeah.
used to look
What
like.
about population-wise, though? We talked about the money itself, but not all money is created equal.
I pulled that too.
You did. Oh, wow. We've gained 121,000 people here in Hillsborough County.
That seems low.
Well, it's only low because we lost 51,000 people to Pasco.
But Greater Tampa Bay,
Oh, it's
right?
growing.
So
Great.
we report the numbers. It's Hillsborough, Pasco, Pinellas, Hernando.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, not in our numbers, but in the Florida numbers, it's Hernando. When you look at this, that's still Greater Tampa Bay area, which means people are still living here and the municipal area is still growing.
What I found interesting here on these numbers is we gained population from Miami, about 10,000 people, and that's about the most money came from Miami. But then we jumped down to Queens and Broward, where we gained 5,000 people respectively before we get to Chicago, which was under 5,000, but Chicago was the one that we gained the second most amount of money from.
There's a huge...
So
we got
richer people from New York and from Chicago are moving to Florida, and they're richer than the Miami and Broward people. So we're getting...
Right, because the Miami and Broward people are probably getting priced out of Miami, but still want to stay in Florida in a city, and Tampa's, even though it's getting expensive, is still way cheaper than Miami is.
Well, there's a lot of native Miami people, right, that have gotten pushed out. It's like almost all Hispanic. I mean, if you haven't been to Miami in a while, if you only speak English, you may not be able to communicate there. I mean, it's really like
certain sections. But I mean, this is interesting. So Hillsborough County gained 121,000, but if we throw back in the Pasco County and the Polk County and the Hernando County, we're looking closer to 200,000 in a Tampa Bay gain.
Yeah.
Like a net gain. And that this isn't even reflecting what Pasco, Polk, and Hernando are net on the gain. This is just saying if we take the Hillsborough people that quote-unquote left, but throw them back into the Hillsborough number for Tampa Bay.
They're all here.
Right.
They're not leaving Florida.
they're not
Well,
leaving
I mean,
Florida.
and some of that there's technicalities. Like you could live in Lutz and live in either county.
Yes.
So you could be like, oh, I'm staying in Lutz. I just bought a bigger house, and it just
Yes.
happens to be on the other side of County Line Road, right?
Hillsborough versus Pasco, yes.
So this is exciting stuff. We still get more money coming here. We get more people
money
coming
is
here.
good.
We get more electoral college votes. I think by 2030 we might be neck and neck with California for electoral college votes.
Well, aren't they
I
losing
think
a ton
so,
of people?
too. Yes, they are.
California?
What's with the California tags here? I'm starting to see more of them. Why are they here?
We're getting reloads from California.
Taxes suck.
We're not a normal migration pattern for Florida, but we're starting to get them.
Yeah.
We're starting to get them. It's politics, too. It's other reasons.
Is it
People that
easier to get?
have houses in both places?
Well, I think back to the Gadsden purchase of the mid 1800s, where we
Okay,
actually were
yeah.
able to complete the
It's
railroad.
one of my favorite purchases.
We were able to complete the railroad from California all the way to the East Coast. And then when you think about what Flagler and Plant did to make railroads throughout Florida, we can get cars from California to Florida. And that's why we'd see more California plates here, thanks to the Gadsden purchase.
Well, there you go.
How about that?
All right.
How about that history lesson?
So I want to talk about the zombie house flipping. And so...
Oh, yes. This is
I-
one of Leo's many ventures.
And we're going to have Priscilla on the show. She was supposed to be today. Snafu on my part, but we'll get her in, and it'll be fun to talk about that. And they're going into their 6th season, right? This year was what I saw.
This year is the 5th season right now. So
But the
and
sixth
you're
one's airing
only
in
and you're
fall.
only in the 6th season?
No, I'm in the 5th season.
Only in the 5th season.
So
And 6th.
I haven't
Oh,
seen
okay,
any of these. I'm
okay.
going to watch them. I've been saying that, but I'm going to
Where
watch
can we
them.
find these, by the way? HGTV?
A&E.
A&E. Okay.
A&E.
So
Is that on Hulu?
Yeah, well, if you have the Hulu TV version. So you have to think like the YouTubes and the Hulus, they've all just created their own cable television networks, and they've
I know.
repackaged it as streaming, but it's still cable television.
I know. Yes, I have the cable television version of Hulu.
Yes.
I think I do too.
It's like
Because I have all
Mine
kinds
has
of-
rabbit ears.
Then you get like I think if you have antennas, you still get like ABC, CBS, Fox, and
I thought they digitalized
NBC.
that like 10 years ago. I don't
They
think you can
did,
have
but you can
antennas
still
anymore.
get it if your TV's
There's
digital.
one that you glue to the window if you want to try to get it. But I use aluminum foil on my antenna.
Your TV has to be digital to get it.
Huh?
Your
What are, you,
TV.
what are you talking about?
Oh my gosh.
I thought he blew. Wait, you wear a tinfoil hat?
No. I left it in the trunk. I couldn't bring that along.
Yeah, because that would make
Need
it hard
something to keep all the thoughts inside.
Yes, definitely. So this show's on A&E. It airs basically all days Saturday on A&E in the morning.
All day?
Yes, all
Wait,
day.
is it a marathon thing?
No, it's what they do. I mean, you have to think it's unscripted television, and a lot of these networks are using unscripted television to fill their calendars. Unscripted. So what it basically means is you get these house flipping shows, you get these cooking shows, you get these stand-up comedy hours. It's all unscripted. It's very easy to put together broadcast television that you can keep churning out. And I mean, you look at recently like the network CW. They went out of business because they kept trying to do scripted television, and it was just too expensive for them. They couldn't get the advertising. So a company called Nexstar comes in, buys CW, cancels 90% of their shows, and is trying to do all this unscripted television stuff to fill the hours. So A&E, like 5 years ago, if you asked me about what I thought A&E was, I'd say it's Law and Order reruns.
And
But-
now it's zombiehouseflipping.com.
Now it's zombie house flipping, among other reality type TV shows, which is called unscripted television. And they're really neat because
People like real stuff. Like the reality TV became popular for a reason. They like real stuff.
Oh, speaking of reels, let's reel this back in. What are we going to see on Zombie House Flipping?
And I have questions. I wrote down a bunch of
How about that segue?
So how many have you done, Leo? How many shows for them in Tampa?
we're involved in like 10 different properties. We've done filming on 4 shows so far.
And are you on the episode, or it's just going to mention
Yeah.
Barrel Project Engineering?
He's the villain.
I'm the villain. It depends. It depends
I
on
feel
the
like
show.
you relish that too. You just lit up like a
villain. He was
Christmas
excited
tree.
about
I
that.
know. I haven't seen him this excited in a long time.
I'm the villain on the TV show.
You come in and say this crap is crap.
I destroy budgets, basically. They have all these plans, and I just dash them.
Like,
So
by the way, don't forget about the foundation. It's
pretty much.
falling
I'm
down.
like the recurring villain. So some of the episodes we're actually in.
Leo shows up. They can't
Well,
get
the
the house.
last one, April 22nd, one of the things I read in there, I guess was the property on Larkin. It said that they made a lot of mistakes and had expensive renovations. So I'd love to know what you busted their bubble on.
So on that one in particular, we just did plans. So some of them we just do the plans for, and some of them we actually make the appearance on. Larkin wasn't one of the ones we made an appearance on. They're learning. I mean, you have to think, when this show was first put together for this season, I believe they had the idea of the real estate market was hot, houses were easy to get, construction costs were low. They were actually going to have 3 different shows this year. They were going to have a Dallas zombie house flipping, they were going to have a Tampa one, they were going to have an Orlando one. Market did some stuff, rates went up, houses got harder to find, construction costs go up. They condensed all 3 of those shows back into one. So they're alternating between the 3 different regions. So one week might be Orlando, one week might be Dallas, one week might be Tampa.
So
Do you only do Orlando, or
I only
you
do Tampa.
Or Tampa, or
Do you come in early or late in that? So obviously the plans is probably the earlier part of it, but like if you're looking at structural stuff, are you coming in later to see stuff when walls are all ripped out or what?
Oh, it depends on where it fits in. Sometimes as the villain, I show up during construction to basically twirl my mustache and say, "No, you forgot about that." And sometimes I'm in at the
I
beginning.
thought you
to
said it
help
was
for planning.
unscripted.
It is.
I'm still the villain.
It is, but he's got to make it fun and where people want to watch
Yeah,
it.
I mean, we'll talk more when we come back from the
Okay.
break, but you know about what the scene needs to be about. Like the scene needs to be about talking about taking out a wall. Is it load bearing? Is it not? Termite treatment. How much damage is there here? I mean,
Right.
there's an overarch. There's a theme. The director, and that's why I wanted to have Priscilla on.
She's coming. We're going to have
The
her.
director is awesome as far as staging the unscriptedness, because it's completely unscripted. 813-377-2775.
Tech Zombie.
Tech Zombie, 813-377-2775.
We'll get those flipping costs way up there. Get you hooked up with Leo.
Welcome home. This is Leo Kane, the mustache-twirling villain of the Zombie House Hunters.
I'm so disappointed, Pat. You couldn't find any zombie come-in music from
I
the
figured
break.
Thriller would have popped on
I
there.
know, something.
Yeah.
So
Probably got to pay for those rights
I've
to use
seen
Thriller.
some of
Not
these.
for less than 7 seconds.
So share a story real quick, I promise. When we do our meet and greets, right, where we're looking to talk to either agents getting in the business, looking to make a change, whatever it is, or coming from another company, we get a lot of new agents. So in my SlideShare presentation, I tell them that real estate is not HGTV perfect.
No.
It just isn't. That's what I tell them. And then I show them some of the worst homes we've ever sold. Like literally that would be something you would see on Zombie House Flipping. I have to tell you, anytime, like as a real estate agent, we get mailed keys, for a property. Someone's out of state, it's just been sitting. That's probably a zombie house. I had one, the last one I got keys mailed for, went there,
Here we go. Here's this.
opened it. It was so termite ridden, Leo. When I unlocked the door and tried to open it, the whole door fell at me with old jealousy windows. It was so termite. The frame was all yucky.
Well, we're just coming out of termite fire season, which is neat because if you have these homes that have these drywood termites, they do swarms in April or May when the temperatures first start to change. So literally thousands will fly out of your wall if you have termites. So this is the easiest.
It's good to know that you don't have any at this point, right?
So-
Yes. Is this the easiest time of the year to know if you have termites or not?
So tell me, what kind of stuff did you find? How bad is it?
These houses are either like we had a great one that it was an owner who hired his brother to do a flip inside the house. They didn't have a permit. Then the city caught them. They needed permits and everything was done wrong. So that seller had to sell the house. And that became a zombie house that was picked up. On one like the one that's airing tomorrow, I think this is just one of those that they converted. Someone else had tried to convert the garage into a bedroom and they did that wrong. Really bad. So when this person was trying to sell the house, they couldn't. So
What's really bad? What did you see?
like, you know how the garage, when you do a conversion, is supposed to be at the same level as the rest of the house?
Yes.
That just kind of stepped down. And, there was one of those low ceilings, so when you're going to raise it up, you really you can't because now you're less than 6 feet for the ceiling. So there's all these nuances you have to do to redesign the house. So that's what makes these houses zombie houses, is that something's gone drastically wrong inside.
So these are critically distressed homes.
Yes, these are critically distressed homes that somehow they're able to pick up and find and negotiate. A lot of them are seller financed.
Yeah. How are they insuring these?
There might not be. They could be self-insured.
It's builder risk.
Yeah, I
Probably.
guess.
Yeah,
It depends on the
yeah, it's a good thing we're talking about the house acquisition part now because that's the only thing I wasn't allowed to talk about with the director in the room.
Oh, okay.
But as the villain, we can keep talking
Yes.
about it right now.
Yes, I love it.
Because I'm just speculating.
No, that's awesome.
What's their worst case scenario? This whole thing just costs them more money and they run a loss or not as much profit? What do you think the worst case
Well, the
scenario
worst
is?
case scenario would be the first house. We actually our first episode aired in the season in January.
Okay.
January 3rd was when it aired. And that was a worst case scenario. They basically had the house, the market turned, they couldn't sell it for where they thought they were, and I think they ended up selling it for like 15 or 20 under after everything was said and done. That's the worst case scenario, is you can't make the numbers work.
lost money.
And you lose money on that deal.
And time.
Is there ever a situation that where you would get, and maybe you would know it before you got it, so you would never get to the point that'd be on a show, but is there ever a situation where you get in and you're just like, can't do anything with this, just has to be torn down?
We have yet to run into one of those. Where it
Because I
has
would
to
think
be
that
done.
would be the worst case, but then you're starting fresh, I suppose, so it's not, you probably overpaid for the lot, but you
That
could
would
make
be-
up for it.
But you also have to
Terrible.
think they need houses they can both look really bad but turn around really fast.
Correct,
So
yeah.
if a house needs to be torn down and rebuilt, that's like an 8-month process. That's not going to make that's not going to make
maybe
for
not
good
for
TV.
the show, but have you ever been brought in by a client that's like, hey, I need you to look at this, and you're like, there's nothing you can
tear
do.
it down.
There's
Yeah,
nothing
no.
you can do.
Outside of the show, yes. We've run into situations either through FEMA 50, where if the cost of construction is more than 50% of the appraisal value, the home needs to be torn down. Or we had one where in Punta Gorda, Hurricane Ian, like 2/3 of the roof got ripped off, and then water just came into the home. There's no salvaging that.
Yeah.
I remember my contractor talking about one time he had gotten a call from a homeowner that was trying to fix a saggy roof. I think they said.
A saggy roof.
Oh, that's not a do-it-yourselfer.
No, they did. They ripped out a load-bearing wall,
Oh,
and
goodness.
the whole thing was sagging. And the contractor was like, "Yeah, that was a load-bearing wall. Can we talk about this outside?" He was like, "Getting out of the house. We're not talking about it here."
Yeah. I've seen some drastic stuff. Like we was in a house a couple of days ago. It was a home that had moderate settlement, which meant blocks were cracking, floors are sloped and all over the place. The flipper gets a hold of it, doesn't pull a permit, does a very quick lipstick flip. This isn't a zombie house. Well, I mean, it is a zombie house, but it's not an official zombie house on the show.
It's not a show-sponsored home.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, go for it.
Wait, he was trying to say something first. Hold on.
Yeah,
Let
that's
him finish
true.
the next.
So basically, on this home, the flip was done so poorly that the act of putting plates and dishes in the cabinet caused the cabinets to sag, and the person honestly thought they had a sinkhole. That's how bad it was. And then the doors wouldn't work because the flooring was popping up. This is a really bad flip, and this is the kind of house that the seller can't afford to fix. So this would be a candidate for the show because they would have to go in and tear out everything and redo it.
This is why you need a home inspection, folks. Just saying.
Oh, they had one. It's just they fooled the home inspector because the seller did everything in their power to cover up the defects. So we're actually referring them to an attorney.
Well,
All right, Pat, what's your question?
fraud at that point.
I want to ask Leo, is there a guy on the show in the production crew named Doug?
Maybe.
I'm glad we waited for that. That would
Yeah,
have been really
I know.
weird.
Yeah, I
in
don't
middle
really
of
know
a
the production crew
conversation.
names.
I just saw the production crew, and Zallis is going to know who this Doug is.
Oh, I know who he is.
I need to see a picture.
Is he a same Doug that for somebody I know?
I don't know, but Zallis knows what Doug it is.
Can we say it?
Can you send me a picture of this Doug? I
Do you-
mean,
Do you want me to be the one to say it?
not on the air because we don't know.
Because we could be wrong. I got to get a closer picture, but it's an identical twin.
So it's an inside joke we just let on the air.
What's the backstory? So I know you said something about be a good candidate for the show. So do they pay for it, or how does that work? Like when they get involved?
Well, they have a real estate agent, and that real estate agent finds these distressed homes, and they work out a deal. They being the actual crew, the Dolmar, Samantha, Amanda crew, finds the home. Dolmar's the money guy. Samantha's the real estate agent. Amanda's the interior designer. They find the home, they negotiate it, and then they bring the TV crews in and everything for the actual show itself. So the home acquisition part is separate from the show.
I'm surprised you've never had a watch party, Leo. You should.
We did for the January one.
Okay.
But I got to pick up Cooper tomorrow in Bradenton at the time the show's airing.
I love how we get invited. I see him every week, and he doesn't even mention it.
I have to pick up Cooper tomorrow from as part of the Sunshine Corgi Rescue.
Well, this is Tampa Home Talk. Our off-air number is 813-377-2775. Love where you live, or we'll fix it. Welcome home.